and welcome to the Teaching Corner. We've been doing a series on executive functioning, and today we're going to talk about planning and organizing. We've already done a video on managing time, so I'll put a link to that down below. But there's a couple of other things that our kids need in order to be organized and to manage their space around them. So one of the things that we can do to help kids get into this is to ask them what works for them or what they like in terms of organization. Another thing that we can do is have a specific area, especially at home, a specific area where you do particular things, or in your classroom, a specific area where certain things are always located, so kids always know, I turn these in here, I pick up this work here if I was absent. They always know where to go. And then scheduling a weekly clean out is a huge thing. I've done structured study halls with students before, and once a week we would go to their lockers and clean them out. We would clean out notebooks. Many times for our students, their strategy is stuff it in the front pocket, and that's all they ever do is just throw it in the front pocket. So once a week we want to go through and make sure we put notes with notes, tests with tests, homework, did we turn things in that were supposed to have been turned in. So cleaning out those lockers, cleaning out those backpacks, cleaning out their desks helps to keep them organized. As far as materials, when I was a classroom teacher, I did keep classroom sets. With the times being what they are, you may not be able to do that, or you may want to have pencils and you just sanitize them in between each child's use. But it's important, because if you don't have some of those materials, you are going to spend so much time letting kids go back to their lockers to get materials, or they have to ask a friend and it's disruptive. So I just always made sure that I had extra materials. Also, color coding materials is a really big thing. I did a video on that already, and I'll put a link down below. But establishing a daily routine for organization and how we're going to do things is really, really helpful for these kids too, so that they know when I go here or we do this, I need these materials, and it's predictable. If every single day looks a little bit different, then they struggle with those organizational skills even more. And then managing work, it's really important for a lot of our kids for us to have checklists. So checklists even all the way down to, did you turn it in? I know so many kids who get stuck on, we've done the homework, it's in the folder, and we forget to turn it in. So having a daily checklist that they can follow so they remember those important things. And then finally, have the student let you know what organization skills work best for them. I've seen certain students, like, they write their notes in different colors for different things. Other students, that would make them crazy, and that would take up all of their time. So different kids are going to need different things. And, as a teacher, having a highly structured classroom really helps. Given written directions, please, please, please use your boards. Always make sure your homework for the week is listed on the board. I know a lot of them now get it digitally, but it's really helpful for them to see, oh, I actually have stuff in this class that I need to do, which means I need to take some of this stuff home with me. And then also, many times, like, I always made sure that if I said, get out blah 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 book and turn to page 37, I would write P37 on the board so that they would know, because always you'd have that kid who would raise their hand and say what page, and then I could just point to the board without having to say anything, and they were visually cued. So that, use your board as much as possible to help give those visual reminders. And if you have poster boards or particular things, like in my writing class, I had a poster for COPS, and when they would ask how to check something, I could just point to the poster because we had already discussed it and they knew where it was. Another thing that's really important for these kids that are having organizational issues is to limit distractions. If you have a kid who has some attention problems or organization problems, sit them next to your most organized kid, not the kid who's the loudest and the most distracting. And if you have a student that is particularly distracting, it's okay to set those kids to the side or sometimes even the back of the room. Like if you have a child who constantly has to stand up, that's okay, but you don't want them standing up in the front row and blocking the view for everybody else. And then be sure that you use visual calendars, like I said, using the board, having them write it down in their planners, because that helps students to be able to check it off at the end of the day. And one of the things that I would have students do is do a double X. Make sure that they didn't just do a slash, but an actual X. So the first part of the line would be, I went home and I did my homework and I put a slash through it. Then the second part of the X would be, I actually turned this into the teacher, so that you knew that it got turned in, because so many times we would get to the end of an assignment that we spent all this time doing and it never got turned into the teacher. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.